we're live. All right. So this is Tori Chrisman and Mark Bunker, or the other way around. Hello, everyone. And thank you, Mark Bunker, for coming on. This is fun. We're going to have you. We're going to do basically an interview with you and then a Q&A afterwards.
Now, I'm a little confused when you say you're the other one. Am I now Tori Chrisman? Or
no, I just, because of my fingers, I'm bad at that. But this is Mark Bunker over there. And this is me here, Tori Chrisman.
Mm-hmm. That's Tori right there.
And hi, Purple Groovy 69. Thank you for coming on. And Kelly BC. Hey, and she said, hey, Mark and Tori. So there you go.
Hey.
We are rolling. So tell us, Mark Bunker and Never in Aaron. It just popped on and said hello to us.
Hello.
So tell us how you got into this crazy thing of you're a critic. You were never in Scientology.
Right. I am a skeptic. Yes, I feel very blessed.
You are very blessed.
Hi, alligators.
Hi, lovable. Sorry, I'm saying hi to a few.
I
love it. It just popped on. Okay, so now we have a moderator. So there we go. So let's go.
Hooray!
So what brought you into this?
So I just find it fascinating. It's a unique combination of things that interest me: science fiction, Hollywood, and cults. I mean, it's all rolled into one package with Scientology.
True.
And
go on.
No,
go on.
Okay. So back in 1980, 60 Minutes did a piece on Scientology sneaking into Clearwater and trying to take over the place. And I saw that when I was on, and I was living back in the mythical land of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. For some reason, I got a frog in my throat. So I found it just amazing to see how Scientology invaded Clearwater and, set about trying to take over the city. The segment was called The Clearwater Conspiracy. And it was a fascinating story. And there was very little information out there other than this. There weren't any books that I was aware of. I did not go to the library to try to search for anything. I just filed it away as, wow, that's a crazy story.
Yeah.
And then when I moved to LA in the later 80s, I wound up living in a home in the Hollywood Hills, not terribly far away from where Mary Sue Hubbard eventually spent the last years of her life. We were almost neighbors, it seems. And if I'd known, I would have knocked on the door and brought over a casserole, for God's sakes. But I moved into this place in the hills, and apparently the woman who lived there right before me was a Scientologist. Man, I apologize. So I kept getting all of her junk mail, and including her issues of Celebrity Magazine and all these other publications. So I would read through them, and having just a basic knowledge of what Scientology was, it got my interest. But I'd be reading the articles from L. Ron Hubbard, from things that he had wrote over the decades. I'd see ads for the e-meter. And, I was just kind of amused by it. And I started looking more and more into Scientology at that point in 98 and 99.
Yeah, and that was something back then.
Yeah.
In LA.
Yep. And I was working for a company that did market research for the movie studios. Oh. And I had a coworker that I really enjoyed hanging out with. She was a lot of fun. She was a kind of a ditzy Lucille Carmichael character from, I Love Lucy. It was just fun to be around her because, there's something crazy about her. And we were together almost every day. We're always going out to dinner and movies and stuff like that, along with working with one another. And Early on, we drove past Big Blue, and she said, "What do you know about those people?" And I said, "Well, it's created by a science fiction writer, and it's pretty much a money making thing." And that's all I said. So she never mentioned it again. But after I
So
started
she was
looking
a
into all this,
Scientologist.
she was a Scientologist,
Right.
and I found out because as I was doing more and more research and wandering into the buildings in Hollywood, I'd walk into Big Blue and go, "What goes on in here?" And they'd take me in and give me a tour and sit me down to watch the orientation film. um, I was talking to other coworkers, and they said, "Well, you know, Susan's a Scientologist." And I went, "What?" So I see your hand going up. I'm going to finish this segment of the story.
No, it's not mine. It's not
Oh,
mine.
okay.
I'm
All
just
right.
saying hi to
So,
everyone.
oh, I see. So I called up Susan and said, "How's your e-meter reading?" And she went, "What? What?" And I said, "I know you're a Scientologist. That's fine. I'm okay with that." And she went, "Would you come to the church? Would you?" And I
Of
said,
course.
"Well, yeah, sure. I'll come to the church tomorrow. Will you come tomorrow?" Sure, I'll come tomorrow. So I met her at the Celebrity Center the next night at like 6,
Wow.
and I thought we were just gonna pop in and look around, but no, she had arranged for me to take the personality test and play with the e-meter, get the pinch test. We had our own private screening of the orientation video in the lovely screening room there. And that was the first time I saw the orientation video. I saw it many other times after that, but the first time with Susan sitting next to me, all alone in this lovely screening room, as the video came to a conclusion, because you had Larry, the host of it, as
Right.
this regular Troy McClure from The Simpsons. "Hello, let's go over here and talk to Susie." And "Susie, what book should we buy?" "Well, you need this one and that one, and this one and that one." So you learn nothing in the video except Scientology is tax exempt and is recognized by the US government as a religion.
Right.
And then that's basically it. And then at the end, our happy, jolly host, the lights go down, the music turns ominous, and he says, "Sure, you could walk out of this room right now and never say the word Scientology again."
Right.
Well, you could do that, but it'd be stupid. You might as well put a gun to your head and blow your brains out. And I just started laughing hysterically. It came so out of left field.
Right.
And Susan was like slapping me in the leg. "Stop it, stop it." And I'm sure they were monitoring us outside so they could tell that I was laughing hysterically at it. But we finished with that, and then I got ushered into the office of the head of the Celebrity Center,
Right.
and we sat there, and I wanted Susan to come in too, so I could ask some pointed questions, but really I didn't know that much about it at that point. So I didn't ask the great questions that I would nowadays, but I was asking things like, "Now you have all these books that you want me to get. Do you have a library here where I could just come in and check them out?" And "Oh, no, you got to buy them."
Yeah. Right.
And we spent like 45 minutes in there, and I finally said, I don't think it's for me, and we left.
And you said,
So,
"I don't get this is for me."
yeah, something like that. I don't remember exactly how I ended it there, but I do know when Susan and I left the building, I said, "Yeah, this isn't for me." But
And they didn't say anything.
I don't think I was incredibly rude to the Celebrity Center president. But yeah, they let me walk out. They didn't lock the door and keep me there until I actually agreed to fork over money and pay for the bridge right then and there.
Right.
And then pretty soon after that, Susan disconnected. what the heck? And I hope she's fine. Oh, one of the things that when we were there, she was showing me around, and we passed the grade chart. Is that what it's called? The bridge. And I said, well, where are you on the bridge? And she pointed like almost right down at the bottom. I said, you've been in this for 20 years and you're down here?
She was in it for 20 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
And she didn't have any money, and she didn't want to join the Sea Org wisely. So yeah, she didn't make a lot of progress. But there's something else that I almost forgot that I haven't thought about in a while. I've told this story before, but there were a lot of clues along the way. During that year, once I knew she was a Scientologist, I looked back and went, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. I had seen a therapist for a couple of months, dealing with some general depression. And Susan was incredibly upset about that. And
she went to see a therapist.
Yeah, she was trying to convince me. Go ahead, sleep with her. They all sleep with their patients. I don't think that's going to happen. And she was begging me to stop seeing this person. She told me, I used to be a therapist. I can do your therapy. And I said, are you nuts? I'm going to stop seeing a trained professional and have you do my therapy. I said, yeah, I'm a little rusty. I want to get back into it so we can do this together. And okay, go ahead. Let's give it a shot. So she audited me without an e-meter.
With Dianetics.
Yeah, just Dianetics auditing, having me talk about an experience, and then, okay, go through it again and tell me more, and again and again. And after a few times, it's like, okay, I've had enough of this. Yeah. So I am not the perfect candidate to be joining Scientology by any means.
Right.
But that's the thing, I don't think I could have ever been sucked into Scientology. But that doesn't mean I couldn't be sucked into something else almost as bad, or some other thing that, everyone else around me knows, well, that's a crock. And I'm blindly going, wow, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
Anybody is susceptible to something at some point.
Unless you learn about mind control and cults. That's what the cult experts said. That's your only hope.
Yeah, but there are other things like, I got suckered into some little business thing where, and this was nothing major, but I had to find a place to live fast at one point. And I thought, okay, here's this service that has lots of apartments and leads that aren't in the paper. So I went in, asked a lot of questions about it. How does it work? How does all of this? And then finally, gave them my $40 for part of it. And I had problems finding a place with this, and it turned out that all the leads were pretty much from the newspaper. And they were dead ends for the most part. So you could do this without having to turn to a company like this.
Right.
So I went back to talk to them about this, and I had questions. And at one point, the guy went and talked to a manager and left a piece of paper behind that I saw, and it was the manager saying, it's the guy with 1,000 questions, get rid of them. Really? And I grabbed that and I just left. There was a police officer outside. Look at this. Look at that. They're ripping people off in there. And the officer said, well, they did give you addresses and phone numbers, right? So, they are providing a service, so it's not really illegal. You just got suckered.
Yeah.
it's or it could be a relationship where you think, oh, wow, this person loves me, and everyone else knows it's a gold digger. They don't want to tell you that until you suddenly your eyes are open and you go,
It's
oh,
hard with relationships. It really is. Like,
yeah.
it really is. Hey, JB, wow, you just donated 10 memberships. Thank you, JB808.
JB808, thank
Thank
you. It's
you.
nice to see you here.
Yeah, and everybody else too. Hi, Sophie. She just joined. And thank you, guys. Thank you, JB808. That's very kind of you.
Say JB808's always in my streams. It's nice to see JB here.
I
And
know.
can I see the comments? I didn't switch over here. Oh, yeah, there you go. I see the comments.
You see him
I was
now?
sitting here going, oh, Moose on the Loose. I know Moose. Rochelle, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kelly.
look,
You know
Kelly. Oh, yeah, she's
Here
my
you
mom.
go. And
Lupita.
Lori.
Wow. Psycator, I believe I have spent some streaming time with Psy.
I know there's a lot of good people on both of our streams.
And Lupita, woo-woo to you.
I know. Woohoo. Thank you for coming in. All right, now starting from the beginning on second speed. Okay. Bunky and Magoo. Now, Eric, I know had a question up here for you, Mark. Let me just see it. JB808 says, absolute legends and natural treasures in front of my eyes. And Bunky even has natural. Wait, let me see if I can point it right. No, see, I can't. You have to do it. National.
Well, I can't do it either. I think it's right there. Okay.
It's really hard. Anyway, national treasure underneath his name.
Yeah. So, it took me 17 minutes to answer that first question.
No, but I'm glad you did. That was good. I mean, I had no idea. I didn't realize you got auditing. I mean, and it didn't work at all, right?
No, I just thought I thought it was nonsense. We just did it that one night. But the other things that I looked back on and went, oh yeah, she was into like get rich quick type of things. And she really wished she could get ostrich eggs and start an ostrich farm. And oh my God! And this was at a time when Scientologists were doing that. That was the thing, kind of sweeping the orgs. But she did not have. She was renting a room in somebody's home, and she had no money, so she did not get her ostrich eggs. But I also would drive her over to Dr. Denk's office in, I think it was Sunset.
It was on Fountain. It's on Fountain. It's the same building. It's still there, Shaw Health Center.
Yeah. So I drive her over there and stay in the car while she ran in to get a B12 shot in her butt. And so as I, read more about Scientology, I went, oh yeah, okay. There were plenty of clues I could have seen.
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff, and a lot of multi-level stuff because we were all having to hustle to make money to pay for the next level. Absolutely. All right, now here's Eric's question before it goes down. For Mark, when you lived in the Hollywood Hills, was that the time you were on Break the Bank in the 80s? Were you on Break the Bank?
No. I was on a TV show called Break the Bank. That was a little earlier. That was almost immediately after I moved to LA. And I was living in Orange County at that point. Fullerton.
Right. That was the game show. You won, and you won a car and money and trips and
over $44,000 in valuable prizes. Yeah, that was fun. So I was living there, and it wasn't until a couple years later. There were probably several other places I lived before I got to the Hollywood Hills in like 97 or 98.
Yeah.
And it was just I rented the lower part of a house there. There was a police officer and his girlfriend and kids who lived upstairs. And, that's where they came to picket me. They leafleted the neighborhood, and that's when Dan and
Dan
Dee.
Mernan.
Mhm.
That's where they wanted me to go over with that picket sign. And I said, no,
Right.
I
Right.
don't even know this guy, but I know it's not true, that picket sign. I'm not even going to say what it said, but it was really gross. And I was like, I don't know what you guys are thinking, but you're creating your own enemies doing this kind of thing. That's where I started saying that to him.
Well,
and I was in.
Well, L. Ron Hubbard kind of set all that in motion, didn't they? So what can they think? Always attack, never defend.
No, I
No?
it's like, I guess because of epilepsy, I always said I was on the bridge next to the bridge to total freedom, because people would always say, how could you be in Scientology and be on medicine? And I'd say, have you ever had a grand mal seizure? And they'd say, no. And I'd say, then you don't know anything about why I take medicine. And when you do, then you come talk to me. And in the meantime, so there you go. But
I had to lean in to hear you.
so I was always, I don't know, I was always on the other side where I felt I was looking at both sides of things, and not totally, or I would have left earlier.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I stayed for a long time because of my friends and my husband and my son. It was like the first 20 years were good years for me. They were. It was just the last 10 where it was just a nightmare. But it was lucky that it was a nightmare because I got out. Without being a nightmare, if you don't see the dark side, it all is so beautiful. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It works for you until it doesn't work, until you realize, oh, these things are now hurting me.
Yeah. And they're hard. Just like you said, there were red flags. There are for everyone. It's just,
Sure.
Like I called it the closet, and I would just put things like that in the closet. And it'd be like, Scarlett O'Hara, I'll think about it tomorrow. Like, I don't have time to think about that today. I'll think about it tomorrow.
That was a brilliant impression, by the way.
That's why you came to Hollywood. That's why you came here, right? Was to get into acting?
Well, yeah. I had been acting in the Midwest, but, didn't pay a lot of money, didn't get you famous. I thought, oh, wait for me, LA. I'm getting there. I'm hopping in the car. I'm going to take that city by storm.
And you were in the Glendale Center. Didn't you play in the Glendale Center Theater?
Yeah, that's where I did Fiddler on the Roof.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite theaters.
I think that's the only play I did there. My roommate, Bill, who's now married to the woman who played his female lead in Music Man when he did it there, Charlotte Carpenter, very, very talented woman. She's now singing with like a big band around the LA area. If you do a search for her on Facebook, Charlotte Carpenter, she'll occasionally put up a song and photos from these things. She's great. My college buddy, I knew him in high school as well, but we became big buddies in college, Bill Lewis. He's a terrific guy. And we moved out here at the same time. I had just decided, I spent 3 years on the radio in the Midwest, and I decided, what happened is I got into a car accident. And it totaled the car, and I got some sort of settlement from it. And I thought, let's take the little cash I have, and I'm going to move out to LA. And then Bill, who was living in Minneapolis at that time, just dropped by my place, and I said, I'm moving to LA. And he said, can I come with you? I said, sure.
Wow.
So we were roomies for quite some time. Before he found a wonderful woman to marry, and that is my tale. So, I did commercials and industrial videos and stage work. I had an under 5 on The Young and the Restless. And under 5 is when you have less than 5 or less lines. The union scale for that was 1. If you have 6 lines, well, then they have to pay you more.
Wow.
So a lot of folks, just want to book that under 5 to get a job. If you can get a couple of those, you could buy into the union at that point.
Interesting. What's wrong?
But the fact is, The Young and the Restless turned out to be my mom's favorite soap opera. So she was thrilled. And I have cousins who still talk about it to this day. I saw Young and the Restless. And I had some nationwide commercials, nothing major.
But now you're worldwide.
Oh my God! Now I'm a national treasure.
You're a national treasure. You are.
I had to wait for the internet to come along and YouTube to be created before people realized just what a national treasure I am.
A humble national treasure.
Listen, it's not me saying it. This is what I hear from the masses.
Well, you are a national treasure, and we're lucky to have you on. All right, so let's see if these guys have some questions for you. Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. Right, Sophie? All right.
My dear.
Rib Guy says the sparkle that happens on street when you two is wonderful. Oh, thank you, Rib Guy. That's nice. Thank you.
We're sparkling, Tori. We're sparkling.
We're sparkling. Mark, why do you think I know you from somewhere? Have you ever been in Montana? This is from Lori Wubin. What is that?
No, it's a question I wasn't expecting tonight. Have I ever been in Montana? No, I haven't. I may have driven through it.
Why do I think? Anyway,
well, it's probably just in her dreams.
I know you from somewhere. Oh, I see. She's thinking that you were from Montana, and that's where she knows you.
Yeah.
He had a secret life in Montana.
Or a clone.
A clone. That's true. All right, Fiddler on the Roof is my favorite musical. One of mine, too. Yeah, we would love to see you do it. Do you have a copy of it?
I do. I played If I Were a Rich Man on a stream in the last week or so.
Cool. So it's over on your side. And your side is Xenu TV.
Yeah, you can go on the channel, and I think I have it just as a standalone song that you can watch. But I also played it during one of the recent streams. Maybe on the joking and degrading one.
And Xenu is X, right? Yours is X, or do you use Z?
No, it's X.
X, yeah.
Yeah, X. Yeah, that's the only way you can spell it.
Well, that's what I thought, but I wasn't sure if you, because.
Nah.
Why won't my thing go here?
I don't know.
And now okay.
Well, are you talking about why isn't your name there on the screen?
No, why can't I put? I'm trying to type your. Here it is. I got it. Xenu TV. That's your site, right? On YouTube. Yep. This is Mark's site. Let me see if it goes up. Did it come up?
Oh, yeah. Well, I see Xenu TV. Yeah.
There you go.
See the link.
Oh, I don't have a link to it.
That's okay.
You put a link to it. You know how to do that.
You can find it. No, I don't know.
Yeah, you just type in XENU TV and you can find it on YouTube.
You bet.
I know that's true because I don't know how to do the links and I find it. I don't.
Yeah, it's not impossible to find.
I know.
What's the other thing that I put online a while ago? For a couple Christmases, I did a show at Disneyland.
Really?
I was Mr. Narrator for Mickey's Nutcracker.
Wow.
And the first year we did it, we videotaped it for the Disney Channel. And so Disney played that on the Disney Channel for probably at least a decade every Christmas time. And I was amazed that people would recognize me from that.
Sure.
Hey, it's Mr. Narrator. And I put it online, and some of the folks who followed me saw it on my YouTube channel and went, I can't believe it. I had a copy of that on video. I used to watch that constantly, and it's you.
Oh,
So
sweet.
that was fun. That was fun.
Very fun.
Oh, and it's there are moments in your life when you think, oh, if that door had opened, something had changed just a little bit, then I would have been a major success. One thing that I almost got, because the folks at Disney really liked me.
Oh, yeah.
And they were doing a national tour of all Disney music that were playing the major concert venues all across the country. And they wanted an MC for it. So they,
That'd be
came down to me, a young gal, and a handsome young guy, and then me, the character actor. But it came very close. It eventually came down to me and the good-looking guy, and they decided to go with the good-looking guy. But I mean, that could have been a great foot in the door.
I still think you could do it if you wanted to. You could be back at Disney in a minute. You have such a great voice and just a charisma. You're just a character in yourself. I mean, I really do think if you wanted to, you could go back there and they'd be like, take him.
Hey,
because think
a lot
about
of this is up to Disney.
Huh?
A lot of it is up to Disney. They have to say.
Of course it is. But think about it now. A lot of really big, highly paid actors are now realizing voiceover is a big way to make money. Being a Disney character it's big money. So you could go in and say, I know it's big money, but I'm going to go for less. You know what I mean? And I'm just as good. And there you go.
Well, I did some voice work when I first moved out there.
Right.
Nothing huge, but things that like there was a Japanese and anime video.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And I did the English dub for it. I was playing some sort of tree god. And that was called Kabuto. I've never seen it. I only saw the stills they had, the drawings of what the character looked like. And I did a series of animated biblical stories that some church put together. And it was a lot of fun to do over the course of many months. I was playing a lot of different characters in these episodes, and every month we'd come back to do more. And the church behind it was saying the guys who were producing the show for the church wanted to have something for the kids that would tie all these stories of the Bible together. So they created this little fox. This delightful little fox who would kind of interact and be seeing some of what was going on with Moses and Jesus and all this kind of stuff. And 1 month the fox is in, and the next the church doesn't want the fox. The fox isn't in the Bible, and then it's back again and out again.
And you were the fox?
No, I was a bunch of. I don't think the fox talked at all. I think the fox was just a silent character that just kind of was there to act as the audience and something that the kids could tie into.
Yeah.
The one character that I remember playing was a village elder, and I had this line: "We must have a king. All of the other lands have kings." And I never saw any of the video of this at all until the very first time I came to Clearwater in '98 to videotape something. No, it had to be '99. It was after they picketed me. At any rate, I checked into the hotel here. I plopped down onto the bed. I turned on the TV, and the first thing I hear is, "We must have a king. All of the other lands have kings." And I went, "You're kidding me." And it was on a public access channel.
Wow.
On the TV.
Wow.
And that blew me away. And I have found a few of those things, including that one, on YouTube. When I looked for them a few years ago. Not great art, but it's something to help pay the bills.
Sure.
I did one that was a story about goats. I was the father goat. Billy. It's Billy and the Billy and it was like some African parallel. Billy and the Zulus was the name of it.
Sounds familiar.
It shouldn't be.
I know, but it sounds familiar.
I don't know if it ever got made or if it ever was released or anything. I just remember doing that.
Well,
so
here's
things, a lot of commercials, stuff like that.
Here's a question for you from Marcia Smith. All right.
Okay.
How did you first meet Bob Minton?
I was an avid reader of Alt Religion Scientology, which was the news group where everyone who was either a former member or interested in Scientology in any way could gather, and secrets were shared. And at one point, Scientology had their attorneys raid the homes of Dennis Ehrlich, Bob Penny, and Arnie Lerma for talking about copyrighted material or sharing copyrighted material on Alt Religion Scientology.
Right.
And they were sued. The group they were with, FactNet, was sued by Scientology, and Bob and Stacy got involved, and they came in and negotiated a settlement with Scientology that kept FactNet alive. And they did this without attorneys. They just came in and sat down with Monique Yingling and who's the other dope. I know his name. It's the one whose daughter died in the electrical.
I know who you mean.
Yeah, him. Yeah. So they were in the room negotiating this deal, and at the end of it, Bob said,
"Moxon."
Yes, yes, Kendrick Moxon. Thank you. So at the end of that, Bob and Stacy made a post on Alt Religion Scientology saying, well, we've negotiated a settlement here. FactNet is going to stay open. I'm on we're both on the board of directors, and Bob was kind of the chairman of the board of FactNet at that point. And when I saw that post, I just emailed them and said, listen, if there's anything I can do for you video-wise, I'd be happy to.
Because I thought you meant for the church, and I was like,
no. I had just started capturing video and converting it for the web. I didn't have a camera myself, but things that I could get off of TV and put on the web so folks everywhere could see them. I was doing that.
That's good. That's smart.
So I emailed them and said, I'd be happy to help you if you have anything you need video-wise. And they called me instantly and said, can you come out next weekend to this cult conference so we can talk about it? So they flew me out to, I'm thinking Baltimore. I'm not sure that that's correct, but it was on the East Coast. And it was the Cult Awareness, not the Cult Awareness Network. It was, I forget it was renamed the Leo J. Ryan Foundation at that event. But when I got there, Bob put his small handy cam in my hands and he just said, okay, go ahead and shoot anything you want. So I had permission to follow them and around and join them as they were like practicing the speech and
sure.
talking about how they're going to handle this and all the stuff that was going on behind the scenes. And, they didn't know me, but they just said, okay, here you go. Here's a camera, and allowed me to tape it. I could have been a plant. I could have been looking for material to use the serum. But at the end of that, I made a pitch that, hey, if you give me a camera and some editing equipment, I could do even more of this. And so Bob did that for me. And that's how Xenu TV was actually started. He got me a nice professional camera, and a really great editing setup. And that investment is what has carried, the legacy of LMT through till today. This is
Yeah.
all the footage that we shot back then. That
Right.
is the stuff that is still around.
Yeah. And it's so valuable now, I
Mhm.
think, because it
Yeah,
really shows the history, of
yeah,
what has happened.
yeah. And
It's amazing.
the stories we got from you and from the Woodcrafts and the other folks who stopped by and told their stories, those are still online, still educating people decades later, and they'll continue to be online.
I know. I know. Kind of amazing. I had one of my really fun things that happened to me when I was, I came across the country, that. And I started in LA as a Scientologist, but by the time I got over to Tampa, I was an activist because they'd done so much shit to me. And these guys from some office up in Ohio, I think, would write me every day. And they would say, Dear Magoo, we're not ex-Scientologists, we're not critics, but we saw them chase you across the country. And so we check in every day to just find out what's happening with Magoo. And you were filming it right then, so they were sort of seeing it live. It was like
Yeah,
really cool. It really was.
yeah, yeah.
It was
Yeah,
really cool that you got all that because, that was times that it would have come and gone, and I
mhm.
could tell about it, but it's fun to see the real videos of it.
Yeah,
So I'll
yeah, and
always,
it's nice to be able to go back now and recapture the footage and make it look better than it ever looked before.
I know
Uh,
you're doing such a
so,
great job. I was just talking to Rib Guy. We were saying, God, Bunker's doing such a great job. What?
National
Oh,
treasure.
National Treasure. That's right. Okay. You have to think of a title for me. All right.
Yeah, the net.
So we got, how do you feel? Sophie says, doesn't it say something on the status of the Liberty or Ellis Island about bring me your
You're
huddled
tired,
mass?
you're poor, you're huddled masses yearning to be free.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know. Boy, they really blew that
Well,
now.
I think they're busy kind of unscrewing that from the statue now and
I know.
burying it somewhere.
All right, Lori says I do commercials, etc. Just wondered if we'd met. Oh, okay. So that's why she thought maybe you met. It's a Wise Beard Man YouTube site for sure. That is true. Xenu TV. All right.
Yep.
Mods can link it. Okay. Rib Guy said mods can link it, and the mods have linked it to your channel there. Thank you, Sophie. Children's films still make money, I guess, Sophie said. Comment, Mark. Thank you for speaking up at the recent Clearwater City Council meeting and for shining a light on Clearwater's protesters' arrest. Sorry, her
Yeah.
name escapes me.
Erica.
Erica.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up Erica when at the next meeting, which is Thursday night. They're
Oh,
going to vote. They're going to vote on selling Garden Street to Scientology for the L. Ron Hubbard Hall. For
are
God's
you
sake.
serious?
Yeah,
Which
yeah,
which
that's what
street
I was
is?
talking about.
Which
Garden
street?
Street is this little street that goes by some of their properties. It's like halfway. If you go down the little block, you're in Flag. So it's just a 1 block's worth of a street that they're selling to
Right
Scientology.
next to Scientology flag.
Yeah, it would intersect Flag if it continued. It would go right through the Flag building, but they want to buy that from the city so they can have it turned into a private street. So when L. Ron Hubbard Hall opens on that street, they can say, "Sorry, no protesting here. We own this street," and for that they're giving the city $1.3 million. So that's what I talked about at the last meeting, and they're voting on the sale on Thursday night. So I'm going to go back and share a few more things about this. And because of the fact that they want to stop protests on that street, I'll be able to bring up Erica's arrest as she was protesting.
And you know what? I might make a little video for you because, I had L. Ron Hubbard. I was part of L. Ron Hubbard Way being made here.
Yeah.
And I know that, the only reason they're naming it isn't in honor of L. Ron Hubbard. It's to make sure nobody can protest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could still protest on it, except when, they did so many things to try to stop it. Including getting the one thing that worked eventually was paying for an expensive filming permit, because with a filming permit, they could hire police to say, sorry, filming, you can't go down that street.
That's when I first met you. That was when they came up with that idea. That was the first time they did that, where they said, get him off the street. You had that big camera. And they said, get him off the street, because you were there filming on 4th of July.
Minton cam.
Huh?
That was the Minton cam. That's what I called the camera that Bob gave me.
The Minton cam. All right. So now let me just check 2 things, because there's a couple of things. Okay. We got the link to that. JB808 says, comment, Mark. Thank you for speaking up. Okay. The recent. Okay, so I think I just read that. Thank you, JB808.
Yeah, I'm going to respond to some of the things that they said in the last meeting that I didn't have a chance to actually address. So I've got some thoughts in mind.
Good. Eric says, my dad worked at the Disney Studios in Burbank for 30 years, from 83 to 2012. Wow.
What do you do there?
Me and my family go to Disneyland every year with the park hopper tickets. His work
park hopper
gave him, I love Disney. Okay, yeah. So Eric, if you think about it, let us know what you did there. He'll have to answer it.
Yeah. So I spent like November through early January for a couple of years doing that Mickey's Nutcracker live stage show. And we had, when I was an employee, we could get free tickets too for our days off, and we could bring friends. So when I did Fiddler on the Roof, there were 2 little girls in the show who played my youngest daughters. And I, really enjoyed, spending time with them during the whole production of the play. And the youngest one, her parents were really terrific. The father was a mayor of another city down in Orange County. And this little girl, Lindsay, loved acting. Oh my God, she couldn't get enough of going from show to show to show. And when the show was over, her parents said, well, that, it was a hard withdrawal for her. So they gave me permission to take her and Laura, the other young girl, to Disneyland on a school day. They allowed them to play hooky when there'd be no crowds there, so we could just run around and go on all the rides and have fun. And that was great. And now Lindsay, the youngest girl, is a great big Broadway star. She's a Tony actress on Broadway. She won a Tony for what was oh God, I can't think of the name, which show it was for. She was in Wicked. I saw her playing the lead Elphaba on stage in Wicked on Broadway, and that was the first time I saw her on Broadway there, and it was cool. For the first time in my life, I paid for like $150 ticket to go see a play. I wanted to be down front and center to experience her on stage, and it was so exciting to have her walk out for her first entrance, and the whole audience erupt in applause, like, here's a great Broadway star.
Yeah.
So she's won at least one, I think probably 2 Tonys. She was just on Broadway in a great Stephen Sondheim musical that got a lot of rave reviews for her and the entire cast. A show called Merrily We Roll Along, which is, I think, an incredible score. It's a show that I love. But when it first opened on Broadway back in the 80s, it bombed. It closed after a few weeks. But since then, it's had revivals, and this has been the most successful one. She was on it. She was in it as the female lead with Daniel Radcliffe from Harry Potter, and I forget who the other guy was. Another talented fella, but all of them got nominated. So it's exciting to see her blossoming like that.
Yeah, that's fun. All right, now here's another one. Great Gin in the Sky. All right, says Mark, I read online Scientology pays property taxes on just 25% of their downtown Clearwater buildings. Do you know how many millions in property taxes Pinellas County Clearwater loses to C of S each year?
Do I have a number? No, I don't know a number. It's just insane that any of their properties are tax exempt.
Tax exempt is the
they should lose it all.
That's the real thing we need to work on, is getting that removed. That's what I think.
And and the empty buildings that have been purchased over the past, since 2017, those are on the tax rolls, but there's nothing being generated in income in those buildings. So they're paying a property tax. What's it about? It's about controlling the downtown. Miscavige does not want prying eyes in his in downtown.
But why not have Scientologists open up businesses in those buildings?
Because they'd have people coming downtown maybe to shop in them.
When they don't want anyone. They don't want anyone.
Yeah. So they have greater plans for it than actually opening businesses. Now, Miscavige is promising the city that he is going to completely revitalize the downtown himself. If they just agree to play along with him, and giving him this street is one aspect of that. But my fear, and I'm going to bring this up at the meeting on Thursday night, the reason people aren't coming down.
Don't say what it is that you're going to bring it up. Don't.
No, that doesn't really matter.
No, because
no one's not going to stop me.
It's not going to stop you, but they'll have somebody. They'll have it all set up what to handle it with. Do you know what I mean? Just let it be. Just say it at the meeting. It'll be It'll have more effect. Believe me. I know these guys, and that they go as soon as they hear what you're going to do. I've tried to teach people this forever. As soon as they hear what you're going to do, they roll into action, and it's not that it works, but it's a distraction. And why not be able to just say what you want to say?
Well, I already said it on my channel, but I won't say it here.
Okay. There you go. Oh, says screw you. All right. Now, Rib Guy says C of S is the highest taxpayers, even though they don't pay on all properties. That's the dilemma the city is in.
Well, yeah, they're the highest taxpayers downtown because there's nobody else downtown.
Right.
I mean, they don't point that out.
All the businesses they did.
Right. So who's competing with them? And that's the point. And they go all out saying that, we bring so much revenue into the city with all of our buildings and everything. No, you've decimated the downtown, and that's the way they want it. They want it dead. If they do open businesses, if Miscavige comes through with what he's saying and said, okay, we're going to put shops and restaurants in all these empty buildings, and nobody still comes downtown because people hate Scientology. And now people don't go downtown because they say, I don't want to put money into the pockets of Scientologists. So if the city knows that David Miscavige controls the entire downtown, that seems like a good reason for people to say, I'm not going down there. So if Miscavige then fills buildings and goes, no one wants to come down here. So I tell you what, let's just tear down all these businesses and let's just build condos for wealthy Scientologists, and we'll just turn the entire downtown into Xenu City, or
Yeah.
Hubbard. And so wealthy Scientologists can live right next to Flag and walk over to the hall for the annual events, and it seems to be the end game now. And we were on the process.
I was there in 79 as a Scientologist, and they were getting rid of, I think, Bloomingdale's. They had like big department stores and stuff that were there. And the city was really upset about it, that all these businesses were leaving. But the businesses were just like, no, we're not staying. That was it.
Yeah, and if you don't think that Miscavige is going to interfere with any business that goes into these buildings, you're nuts. They're already interfering with the few restaurants that are open now. They're still screwing them over, and acting like bullies, giving just a 30-day lease. It's a month-to-month lease rather, and you can't open up a business and invest in creating a restaurant or store and spend all that money to do that, and then find out, oh, okay, we have to move in a month. No one's going to do that.
No one's going to do that. No.
So
what does the city council think of that, though? Don't they kind of see through that?
No.
Because a lot of them are Scientologists, right?
No, none of them are Scientologists. But
really?
the guy who replaced me, his whole deal in the campaign was, it's just like any other church. We have to work with them, and it'll be fine. And that's his opinion. And he, in the last meeting, voted that yes, let's give the street to Scientology. 3 of the 5 said yes. Only 2 said no. You need 3 votes to pass something. So they have this locked already. But his argument was, Miscavige had me over and personally showed me, because he had individual meetings with all the council members. Sure. He showed me what this L. Ron Hubbard Hall is going to look like. It's beautiful. Oh my God. And I said to them, you've got to show this video to the public. It is so breathtaking. It is, if they just saw the video, everyone in the city would go, yes, that looks wonderful. It looks like all the other buildings down there, and it's gorgeous. And, what he doesn't realize is they'll never show that video to the public.
Right.
Because it says L. Ron Hubbard on it.
Exactly.
And they have another absolutely beautiful, highly produced video that shows you how they're renovating the 3 buildings that Miscavige snapped his finger and said, let's fix these up for the city. And if we do this, the city will be nice to us and we'll be able to get everything we want. So there's a website you can go to, clevelandstreetalliance.com, and you can watch this so well-produced video of how they're redoing these buildings and bringing them back to their glory, and all the bells and whistles that they're putting into the buildings. And it's fantastic. And you'll never see the word Scientology. You'll never see David Miscavige. You'll never see L. Ron Hubbard even hinted at in that video. But you show the one about the L. Ron Hubbard Hall, and people go, that's Scientology. I don't want that. That's why they're not showing that video, but they're happy to show the Cleveland Street Alliance video.
I got you. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, but I mean, if the council member is not willing to even consider that and just says, well, come on, we've been doing this stuff now for decades and nothing's ever done, so we got to change what we do. We have to work with Scientology.
Yeah, but the whole park
it'd be great.
They don't recognize that, the whole park that you worked on?
That's the frustrating thing, because we were making progress when I was on the council.
Definitely.
We opened the park. We opened the amphitheater. We have 400 apartments going up on the bluff property next to the park.
Right.
And we made sure that they were apartments instead of condos, so they all couldn't be snapped up by Scientologists who will buy them and leave them empty and fly in once a year to do auditing.
Right.
We wanted people living down there. So we put
Sure.
all of these things into the contract with our developer to say, you can't sell it to Scientology, you can't do this, you can't do that. So we had all this kind of moving in the right direction. And now this council is what Miscavige wanted. They're going, well, okay, let's give him a shot. We'll have David Miscavige fix up the downtown for us, and it'll be wonderful. He's going to put business in there. He told us he'd put businesses in there. He and Tom Cruise are going to open up a movie theater, for heaven's sakes.
Oh, geez.
Now, he's been saying that since 2017, and he's never come through with any of it. But you know, the new council is willing to go. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Wow. That's got to be frustrating because you got a lot done. You did, Mark. I mean, I was there for years and years and years and saw what it looked like before and what it looks like now. And I haven't been there physically, but just seeing the pictures of it, it looks beautiful. Yeah. I mean, it's very impressive.
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's kind of down the toilet now. I mean, really? I can't imagine, you know, if they're putting up the L. Ron Hubbard Hall on the major road to the beach. It's the only building in Clearwater that I'm aware of. I think there is a Hubbard Foundation somewhere way away from downtown, but it's the only building downtown that has L. Ron Hubbard's name on it. There's not even the name Scientology on all the buildings. It says flag. Wow. There's a Scientology cross. There's the Fort Harrison. You've got all the front groups, Narconon, CCHR, Way to Happiness. None of them say Scientology, although they scream Scientology without saying the word.
Right.
But it's different to have a building, a gigantic building, saying L. Ron Hubbard Hall, and then the park that they're breaking about. And this council member who took my seat is so thrilled about, oh, they're going to build this park for the public, and it's going to be green, and it's going to be lovely. People can go and relax in there. Well, yeah, let me try it. Let me see if I can relax in there, or anyone who's critical of Scientology.
Yeah.
And the whole park is themed to the Way of Happiness.
Oh,
so there's going to be all the precepts.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's gonna have each of his do not murder anybody as a display, and each of those is going to be laid out there in this public park. So how they cannot see that this is not beneficial to the city, I don't know.
Wow. Money. They paid somebody.
Well, I don't think the guy was bought off. I think the guy's just just willing to say, oh, let's try something different.
Well, and it's either money or connections. They might have taken him to dinner with Tom Cruise or something like that, but somehow, some way, they always are manipulating things. But
I mean, this guy is the son-in-law, not son-in-law, stepson, I think, of a member that on the council that I served with, David Albritton, who is a great guy. I really got along well with David. And I think he taught me a lot. And Ryan, who took over my seat, is not a bad guy. I mean, I got to know him a bit on the campaign trail. I have nothing bad to say about him. I don't think he's paid off. I just think he is one of these folks who thinks everything's going to be fine. Listen, you know, the Urban Land Institute came in here and they told the city, you've got to work together with the church. You've got to work. You got to be partners in order to make this work. And, you know, the way you work with Scientology is you have David Miscavige say, here's what I want done. And you let him do it. You either let him do it or he crushes you. And when you got a council now that says, oh, yeah, we trust you. Go ahead. Revitalize the downtown for us. We tried everything else. Why don't you take it over? You know, that's what Miscavige has been waiting for.
Just to give you a personal story on Miscavige, I had never seen him. I didn't know him. I knew of him, but I didn't like him because he stole the church basically from Hubbard's best friends. So I didn't really like him anyway. And now I came into the Sandcastle in Clearwater, and he was there. And we had all this stuff, all the different OT7s had different fun stuff up. And he went all down the hall, tearing all of it down. We had beautiful downtown Burbank with Harold and Tori Bazazian, right? Ripped it off the door. Took this big map we had of where everybody was in OT7, ripped it off the wall. He said, this is all over. This is done. We are meaning business now. We are dealing with doctors and dentists and people with money. So this party is over. And you guys are going to stop looking like hippies and start dressing up and looking nice, cut your hair nice. It was really amazing. And none of us liked it. We were like, fuck this guy, right? And, so we were trying to petition. That didn't work. But the point that I was going to make is that he finally sat down to eat. And I had a friend, Tony Clock, who was a Sea Org member. And Tony worked in the, serving food and stuff. And Miscavige was upset with the fork, one fork. And so Tony is a super nice guy. And he went over and said, would you like me to get you another fork, Mr. Miscavige? And he looked up and he said, I don't like that guy's tone level. Put him on the RPF. And he kicked him out of the Sea Org. The RPF, for anybody watching this who doesn't know, is like a slave camp. And Tony was sent to the slave camp. Anyway, it got bad to worse. I think he may still be alive. I'm not sure if he passed away or not. But it was just, he never got back in the Sea Org. It was just a mess. Well, and that's Miscavige. It's like a fork.
Sounds like a troublemaker.
It's like a fork. And he didn't like the way he said, would you like another fork? So that's the guy that's going to take over Clearwater. No.
Yep.
No.
You damn hippies.
We had a lot of fun. All right. So now let me see. Sophie says, comment. Thank you, Mark, for your decades of activism. I agree. Question. When did you actually realize that you were dedicated to the fight against Scientology? What's this? Because you're the national treasurer.
Nice things. I was a national treasurer. Yeah.
That's right. So when did you?
They were just acknowledging it. When I don't know that. I don't know. It's just something that kind of snowballed. I just found it interesting, and just started talking about it, and then started doing video about it. And it, I consider it a hobby. Everybody thinks that this is some. I don't know. I don't know what people perceive it as, vendetta or something like that. I just think it's a fun hobby, standing up to a nasty cult and saying, "Listen, it's okay. You can say horrible things about David Miscavige, and you'll be fine." Not if you're in Scientology, of course. You go to the RPF, but for those of us in the WOG world, we can make fun of the fact that he's.
And remember, the public don't go to RPF, so the public can't make fun of him because they'll go to ethics.
Yeah, but you give him another fork, and then, well, man, you're in trouble.
No. The only people that will give him a fork are Sea Org members.
Right.
That's why you have to know the difference.
Exactly.
Okay, so national treasure is right. That's what.
See, people are saying it constantly.
I know I know you are. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with it.
I think you're doubting it. I think you have some doubts.
I don't have doubts.
We need to get you on the cans. We have to find out what
you are a national treasure. There's no question. It's just you have to come up with a title for me. You can't be the national treasure and have me be nothing.
Aren't you the queen of the net?
No.
No?
But thank you. There's a lot of people that would disagree with that.
Well, everybody, what's her title?
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Tori? You got a tiara. Princess Tori would be nice.
Princess Tori. There you go. All right. So now, Rib Guy, you do such great work, Mark. I'm jealous. There you go. That's from Rib Guy.
Wow. Thank you.
Give it back to France. Okay. And Rib Guy says, oh, absolutely. All right. And Sophie says, yes.
Back to France. Are you talking about the Statue of Liberty? Are we back that far?
I'm not sure. I wasn't sure. What is it? Give what back to France?
I think it's probably the Statue of Liberty.
I think it is too.
Mass,
yeah,
that's
masses. It, Mark. Thank you. Hey, I still love America, us, America, U.S. Thank you, Sophie.
It's not easy.
She's from New Zealand.
I saw a story today in the Huffington Post about some guy, an American, who does a lot of voice work for commercials and industrials and stuff like that. And Canada fired him. The company that he works with in Canada said, I'm sorry, you're a nice guy, you're talented, but we do not, we have a policy now not to work with Americans at this point. So we're letting you go. So this guy wrote an article about this, about how, we're good friends. We love Canada. Canada likes Americans for the most part, but our leadership is just destroying the country.
Yeah.
I mean, destroying all of our relationships with the people who matter and siding with Putin and all the dictators in the world. This is not America.
No.
I mean,
you see Elon, he's not even elected.
Yeah. And I saw a video of Elon complaining that I forget which politician. It was Governor Walz, who was on the ticket with Harris for the against Trump. And so Walz at one of the events that he's been hosting says something about, did you see Elon's the Tesla stock is taking a nosedive, and he was joking about the fact that the bottom had fallen out of the Tesla stock, and Elon was butthurt and went and did some interview on probably Fox or somewhere. I was going, did you see that? Did you see that? That's evil. Who would make fun of something like that? The stock has dropped, and he's making jokes about that.
Yeah.
And it's like, you've been destroying lives.
Right.
You're firing indiscriminately tens of thousands of people, and shutting down agencies that are, you shut down USAID, and there are people overseas by the hundreds of thousands who are going to die because we stopped all of our help for those countries. And he's butthurt because the richest man on the face of the planet, his stock has dropped. I think he'll be fine. And
how about with his Teslas on the White House lawn?
Yeah. I mean, how insane is that? He's so upset. We got to push Teslas. You got to down.
Like, don't worry about the people that lost their jobs and they can't pay their mortgages. Your stock went down for Mr. Billions of dollars.
Yeah. I mean, shut down the Department of Education and put Medicaid and Medicare on the chopping block, perhaps, and rip tens of thousands of people out of the Social Security Administration. It's just scary.
It is scary. All right, now Psych Cater says France wants the entire Statue of Liberty back, I heard.
Yeah.
Wow. Yep. Talk about burning bridges. I mean, Jesus. And this is when you and I, Anonymous, flew Mark and I over to London, and I was watching the news, like real news, BBC News. And I said, oh my God, you guys still have real news here. And she said, what are you talking about? And I said, like, you don't have the Kardashians on here, and you don't have Paris Hilton. And she said, you're kidding, right? And I said, no, I'm not. It just was such a different world over there than over here. But they all thought at the time we were against Bush, which now we'd give anything to have Bush. But,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. But I said no, we didn't vote for him, and not everybody did. And I think it's probably true of the world. They think we all voted for Trump, and we didn't. A ton of us.
Well, but to see him win everything
I know.
that he won, it is shocking.
It's scary.
Um,
It's
yep.
scary. All right. So JB808 gave Lori a he donated 10 memberships tonight, and Lori got one of
Hooray!
them. So she's saying thank you.
Hooray!
Yeah,
That's nice.
that's good. And the Liberty Lady is my new title.
I'm sorry. I just saw this message from Poof 911. Mind if I
What
read
is
this? It says, drove behind a Tesla with a bumper sticker today. It said, we bought our Tesla before we found out Elon was crazy.
it?
I think there'll probably be a run on those bumper stickers. I think the majority of drivers would want to have one of those.
Yeah, exactly. So Psychater says, for a moment I heard, quote, so when L. Ron Hubbard comes back, he has a private street. No, he's not coming back. They know that. That I think is true. I think France has bigger problems than that. Well, we'll see. All right. Psychater says, Sophie, yeah, it's hard to even know where to even start with all the problems currently. True. And JB808 says, question, Mark, do you plan on streaming at the next city council meeting?
I'm not going to be streaming. I don't have enough data to do any live streaming.
Really?
Somebody, yeah, I had to drop my plan down to a very low level, so I run out of data quickly. So I'm not going to do live streaming now. Once I start making a little more money, and then I will. In fact, I want to do that. I almost did that at the Friday night protest when Erica was out there, and then I realized, oh, if I start a live stream, it's not going to work. So,
what happens? It goes dead?
Yeah, it will say, and I've had it happen to me as I'm trying to drive around and take some Uber passengers around. I remember one day I had an email from Mint Mobile saying, okay, you've got your fresh monthly quota of 5 gigs of data. And I thought, great, okay, that's a relief. And then about 2 hours later, it said, you're out of data.
I guess that's why I'm paying so much.
What? No, but in that case, I discovered that somehow my phone was uploading data from my photos when I expressly said, no, I don't want this going up in the cloud. For some reason, unbeknownst to me, while I was driving around, it went up into the cloud and shut down my phone. So I had
God.
I had to buy more data just to be able.
You can't reverse that?
No, I called, but no, they don't reverse it. I'm sorry, you used your data. Sorry, you can buy more. So
I know that's the only tricky thing with the net is.
Yeah, it's fun living on the edge here like this, knowing that, hey, is my Social Security check going to come in the next day or two? Or
mine came this month.
It did. Good for you.
Yeah, so I think you're good.
I hope.
If I'm good, you're good.
All right.
That's the way it is. Okay, so listening at work while I'm driving, said Lori. He did payroll. This is Eric's dad at Disney. He did payroll and did the checks for employees in the print room. I bet they were happy about that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then
I enjoyed getting a check when I was working there. So he probably was behind my check.
There you go.
Back in, well, it was 91. And I got to tell you, when I was doing the stage show at Disneyland, I got paid more than all the dancers all the characters in costumes. So my job was pretty much sitting in a chair and narrating from supposedly a book, and then
Wow.
and then I had a little like den that was on a turntable. So when it was time for me to do a little talk, it would spin me around to the audience. And then when I was done, it would spin me back so I was facing the stage. So I was watching all these people every single show. We did like 6 shows a day or more. And there were some really incredible, talented dancers. And I never got tired of watching them do their dance numbers. But there were people who weren't in costume, and then there were people, dressed up like Mickey and Minnie and Goofy, and they were making less money than I was making sitting in a chair, and they were out there dancing in the heat and keeping up with all the professional dancers.
Yeah,
they were professional dancers too, but it's just insane.
Sort of like going around in circle, like you and Mary DeMoss.
Yeah, just like that.
Have you put that video up again?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's in 4K now. Yeah.
Good. All right. Now, Sophie says, Mark, listen to Tori. I have no idea what that's about. So you have to let us know, Sophie, what that's about. Revitalize equals homogenize and monopolize, says JB808. Okay.
What?
Revitalize equals homogenize and monopolize. So, like, I think he's talking about, Escavage is saying he's revitalizing Clearwater, right?
Oh.
But he's saying it's really homogenizing it and monopolizing it, which is true.
Yeah.
They've been doing that forever, though, for a long, long time. Amazing Tori is considering Mark on the Scientology tech. I'm consulting Mark on the Scientology tech. I haven't since I met him. I have. Remember when I would give these talks. Sure. Remember when we started at CFI, I think I gave a talk there. And I couldn't remember if Paulette Cooper was Snow White or the other one. And you knew what it was. It's Operation Freakout.
Operation Freakout, yeah.
And then you said something, and I took you aside afterwards, and I said, and I always use you as an example. I said, that is not true. This is, and you said, well, what is it? And I said, well, this is what it is. And you said, okay. And every time I did, you learned things. And you are now, look at how big his head is. That's because he is a wealth of knowledge. He knows tons of stuff.
And I don't even fit on the screen anymore.
I know. See, so look at me. I'm just like little tiny, but you really learned a lot. You're great to interview and stuff like that because you know so much. You do. You know a lot. So I always try to, if there's ever anything that I know that you say that isn't correct or something like that, I try to correct it because you learn.
And I've forgotten a lot of stuff too. So I used to know even more.
I know. I love that about myself. I now forget a lot of the tech. And for me, I'm happy about that because you're so brainwashed when you leave. And now I'm like, I don't know. I can't remember what did that belong to? The Hubbard, what was their school thing? They had the Hubbard College or something. They were going to start a college and they realized they could get more money if they were certified. If they were credentialed. Yeah. So they started the Hubbard College with that intention. I don't think they ever got it, but anyway.
No, you have to prove that you're doing something academically that fits with the mainstream to get credentialed.
Yeah. And Sophie said, don't forget to hit the like button for everybody. Rib Guy said, blah, blah, blah. No one will still go downtown. The city is screwed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's still creepy to look at what they do. I understand both. You're right, Rib Guy, but that's part of the point, that it used to be a good city.
Well, it's
before
still a good city.
Before
It's just,
Scientology came.
yeah, it's
Huh?
just an abandoned downtown, but it's a good city.
No, I said
And,
it used to be before Scientology.
yeah.
It wasn't
Well, I mean,
abandoned.
Scientology is part of the problem, but also in the 80s, every downtown was decimated when malls opened up on the outskirts of town. So that didn't help, but definitely Scientology is the major problem. Um, and it's a problem no other city has on our scale.
Yeah. Do you want to hear a funny story about a mall on the outside of Clearwater?
No, I don't.
Okay.
No, actually, I do. I was just saying that. Please tell me the story.
Rascal. Okay, so I'm getting auditing at Flag. I'm on OT7. And my auditor says, "Hey, do you want to go see?" I can't remember the lady's name, but it was like a really kinky movie, right? She's a really kinky singer, actress, kind of thing. It might have been Madonna, something like that. I think it was Madonna, and it was like a really pretty, wild movie, right? And she said, "Do you want to go see it?" I said, "Sure." So she's trying to pass her videotape. They videotape the auditors at Flag. And so she's trying to pass her videotape so she can graduate, right? So that's in her head, right? Now everyone at Flag, this is before they started the Friday night graduation, and this is why they started Friday night graduation, because we would all go outside of town to Largo to this movie theater. All the public would go, and a bunch of the Sea Org would go. And I remember one time we're all sitting there waiting for the movie to start, and this guy goes, "All right, that's it, roll call," and everybody just cracks up laughing. Because it's all Scientologists in the theater. That was it. But anyway, we're on our way to get there. This is before the roll call thing. We're on our way to get there. And this big top dog at Flag stops the auditor and says, "Are you going to see Robin Hood tonight?" And we both just looked up at her and said, "Yeah." And we did. We went to Robin Hood. The kid did the roll call thing. We saw Robin Hood, and then we went the next night to see Madonna. Because we just knew, if we said, "No, we're going to see Madonna," she probably wouldn't pass her test. Isn't that weird?
It is.
I know.
It is.
That's Scientology. It's like, yep, we'll go to Robin Hood.
Hey, speaking of entertainment for just a moment, let me just mention this, because I think you said you watched oh God, now the name of the show has slipped my mind just as I wanted to talk about it.
Well, tell me what it is. What is it?
It's this thriller. Paradise is the name of it. You saw Paradise, right?
Yeah.
I finished the miniseries. Well, I thought it was a miniseries. It looks like there may be another season of it, which is exciting. Right. But I mean, I was really impressed with this show. So if anyone out there has not seen Paradise yet, I recommend it highly.
Yeah.
Episode after episode, there were tons of surprises. And the next to last show, I'm not going to say anything about what happens, but the next to last show was so tense. And I highly recommend that. And then last night, I watched the first episode of The Studio, which is a new comedy. Is it on Apple TV? I think so. It's Seth Rogen has produced it and directed the show and wrote it, and he stars as a guy who gets to take over a movie studio, and he's a big movie fan, and he wants to make great movies with great directors. And the guy who's the CEO of the company says, "Okay, you have to make a movie about the Kool-Aid Man." And so the whole thing.
I saw that. We're watching.
You saw the
that.
episode? I thought that was great, and the payoff of it was spectacular. And there's an actress in there, Catherine O'Hara, who most people know from Schitt's Creek.
Great cast.
Yeah, this is the best thing that Catherine O'Hara has done in a long time. I loved her when she was on SCTV back in the 80s.
Right.
And that's one of my all-time favorite shows. She's one of the funniest people around. So if you have a chance, give that a shot. The Studio seems to be well worth it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And one of mine, if you haven't seen it, is Good Morning, The Morning Show. Have you seen that?
Oh, yes, I have. I've seen the first season. I have not watched the rest of them yet.
Watch it.
Just means that I have more to catch up on at some point.
It's really good. It's really good. I mean, Spanky and I saw it together, and we loved it. It's really good. All right, now wait. Psychator says, I've never heard anyone renting from a Scientologist who was confronted with fair business practices. I've never heard anyone renting from a Scientologist.
I think he's talking about if the Scientologists own the building where you're trying to run a restaurant, they're not going to be treated fairly. Is what I think he was saying. He's never heard of a situation like that where anyone's had a Scientologist landlord and not been hassled.
Remember that restaurant where they tried to throw me out across from the LMT?
Well, you deserved it.
You are so bad.
Jeff and I got kicked out of that same restaurant. So
no, they tried to kick me out. I said, call the police. That's against the law.
That's right.
Yeah, this is religious discrimination. And no, I'm not leaving. And all the waiters came over to me and said, thank you so much. She is such a witch. And they said, we will serve you. And they did.
Well, just so you know, Jeff and I, we weren't kicked out, but as we left, the husband of the witch came to the door and said, listen, you guys were great. You didn't cause any disturbance, but you're not welcome here anymore. So please don't come back. And we did file a complaint with the city, and the city said, it's not religious discrimination because you weren't kicked out because of your religion. So no complaint.
Wow, that sucks.
There you go.
I hate that.
And it's not the biggest deal in the world, but that's life. That's life in Clearwater.
That's Clearwater. That's why I don't live there, as well as the humidity. And the bugs. Those two things. Forget it. Never. I grew up in Chicago. They have humidity that is awful. Well, you know it from Wisconsin.
Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Good to catch you too, says antics of a mama squirrel. All right. And Rib Guy says that's a terrific talking point. I don't know which one he was talking about now. Mm-hmm. I never heard anyone. Okay, so she said that. Okay, so maybe the renting thing is a good one. Hi, Tori and Mark from Antics from a Mama Squirrel. A bunch of people said hi, and we're saying hi back to everybody. Hi, Antics. JB Antics and I had fun yesterday. Oh, my God. I made a little video for someone, and I could not, I told her, I kept saying, Mark knows, believe me, Mark knows what you're going through, because I could not figure out how to get it from my camera, upload it to her. It was just, don't ask me, but we finally did it. It took forever, but we finally did it. But I said, Bunker knows, because it's just my typical computer. All right. So JB808 says, question for both of you, prefacing by stating that your years of activism speak for itself. Aw, there you go. National treasure and
Princess
amazing.
Tori.
What is it?
Princess Tori.
Princess Tori. But what would you like your legacy to be years and years from now? Wow. That's from JB808. What do you want your legacy to be?
He was a national treasure. Too bad he's dead. I don't know. The legacy will be the videos, whatever happens with him.
That's the way I feel. It's like, for me, I want my legacy to be that both of us stood up and did something. That's it.
Yeah.
That's really it. It's like, I've said it a billion times, but there is no, every voice counts. There's no voice that doesn't matter. It's important for everyone to know that, because we wouldn't be on this line unless all these people were here. Do you know what I mean? And that's been true since 2000, with ARS and all, all that creepy stuff. I wouldn't have met Andreas if it wasn't for ARS.
Yeah, people gave me the courage to speak out, and I think both of us are trying to show it's okay. You can be critical of Scientology, and you'll survive.
Yeah, I try to tell people they really mainly gaslight. That's what they do, because they know if they did big stuff, we could call the police. And they don't want that.
And all right. I just want to acknowledge JB808, who says, I was introduced to Catherine O'Hara as the mom from Home Alone, but I later appreciated her role in all those mockumentary movies like Best of Show, and Waiting for Guffman, all those great films. Even before that, though, in the early 80s, SCTV, Second City Network 90, she and the other woman who was in the cast, God, I'm blanking on her name now. The two of them together were absolutely brilliant. And I love everyone who was on that show. Eugene Levy, John Candy, Martin Short.
Oh, yeah.
I have all of those Network 90 shows on DVD, and I never tire of watching them.
I know, that's the thing. Great stuff like that. You do never get tired of it. All right. So, Mark, you are too generous, says Sophie.
Aren't I, though?
There you go.
I'm a saint. It's
I won't give you that.
Not enough that I'm a national treasure, but truly I'm a saint.
Okay. I think.
Oh, yes.
We have to get you a crown, and see, that's the difference. You could say, "Oh, you're a saint." Remember, I told you things fall down in my house. They do.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a crown.
You're a princess.
There you go.
I don't deny that you're Princess Tori. And Tim Greenglass is bringing up Count Floyd's 3D House of Cats. They used to do a series of movie spoofs with John Candy as this Weasley mad scientist, and Eugene Levy was his hunchback assistant. And they used to do horrible things like 3D House of Pancakes, where to do the 3D effect, they would just bring the camera close to. And it was always, whenever they had a 3D movie, it was great.
The 3D camera effect. Mm-hmm. All right, Rib Guy says he's having issues. What are you having issues with, Rib Guy? Hi, Danny. Rib Guy, you got to let us know what you're having issues with. Okay, now wait. Can you call me Danny? Okay, yeah, Danny, you need to call Rib Guy because he's having issues with texting you. He can't text you, and he can't call you. Or yeah, I think he can't call you, so you call him. Okay, Danny? All right, good. All right, and Psych Cater says Scientology has a way of creating these kinds of snowballs. You two are hilarious. Poof 911 said, hilarious. Here you go. See? Queen Tori. There you go. Now we're talking. Still not as good as a national treasure. So I got to work on it. I'll work on it. We'll figure out something else. Also national treasure. We could both be national treasures.
That's up to the public.
But you're sort of a national treasure. You really are. I'm not. I can't say as I'm a national treasure, but I don't know.
Are you kidding? Yeah, you're a global treasure, because remember we were in London and people were on the street were going, "Oh my God, it's Tori." You go to where's Andreas from?
The best one was Bernie, when we went to see Bernie Sanders. 37,000 people, and we went up the stage, and this guy, and I was with one of the Scientology ex-celebrities, and somebody went, "Hey, And I thought they were talking about him, right? So I kind of stepped aside, and the guy stepped out and he goes, "Tori Magoo, I'm on your YouTube site." And the guy was pissed. It was the opposite of remember John with what's his name in London, John
Sweeney.
John Sweeney. And remember, he liked it when that guy recognized me.
Yeah.
He thought it was cool. But this guy, this celebrity, quote unquote celebrity guy, he did not think it was cool.
Mhm.
Queen Tori with her iconic bob. All right. Empress of Freedom. Ooh, I like that. Empress of Freedom. Now that's good. All right. So, question. This is from Poof 911. Other than Janice and Hannah, are there other Scientologists still around that worked with Ron? Yeah, I think so.
Well, yeah, I would think there are plenty. Can I name them? No. Who's
there are tons of them. I know them from, and they're all going to Mike's memorial pretty soon. It's coming your way.
I'm trying to think. Oh God, I can't think of her name right now. But there's this woman who wrote a book, early transsexual, and I can't think of her name right now.
I know who you mean.
But she was on the ship along with Hubbard and Hannah.
Yeah, and there are I've been to parties where there's bunches of people that worked with Hubbard. So there's a lot of them that are still alive. Mike Reppin worked on the ship with Hubbard. I don't know. I'm not going to try to name them because I'm not good at it either, but there are a bunch. I know there are because I used to have parties and they'd come. So I know they're still alive because we've had memorials for the ones who aren't. All right. Empress of Freedom. I like
Kate.
that.
Yes, thank you very much. Kate Bornstein is who I was referring to.
Kate Bornstein. That's right.
Oh, okay, Jerry Armstrong, of course.
Oh, yeah, Jerry, of course. Yeah. We need.
So there's plenty of them. We're just not thinking of them.
I know. You're going to do an interview with Jerry, right?
Yeah, at some point. I just was looking at some more footage of him that I just captured from the old days.
That'd be good. That'd be really good.
I have a little piece of video that I talked about in my joking, degrading stream the other night, I think. I found the video that we put together of David Miscavige introducing Jesse at one of the events. And he came out in his...
Okay.
Yeah, Miscavige, now Commander Jesse Prince, whatever his title was. And Jesse came out to do a 15-minute presentation. And when Jesse got busted for this marijuana plant, his home got raided at like 5 a.m.
Oh, I remember that.
And he had to stand trial over it.
They set him up.
Yeah, Bob was a little upset about that, but he said, listen, take that tape of Jesse being introduced, and when he walks on, I want to hear "Everybody Must Get Stoned." So I dubbed that onto that. He walks out, and they were playing that, and people are on their feet, and there were people watching it. Went, did they really play that when he?
That is funny, Mark. That is.
So classic. I found that. I just captured that. I'll be playing that again sometime.
Oh, that's classic. Really classic.
I don't know that I ever played it online before.
Good. Well, it's time now.
Yep.
Eric says his dad did payroll and did the checks for the employees and celebrities in the print section of the Disney studios. Now, Sophie said, how many countries are doing terrible things? We can finger point all day long, and I would never blame an entire people for the actions of the government. Good point.
Well, that is true. That is true. If you want to know how many countries are doing bad things, well, look at all the ones that we're partnering with now. You know, Russia and
Russia.
Anywhere there's a dictator that we're now cozying up to them. North Korea. Yeah.
Unbelievable. That
So I'm
it's
sorry for
unbelievable to me. I'm 77. When I was, I think, 4 or 5, we were going to the movies on Saturday, watching the atomic bomb as part of the news headline before the show. And then when we'd go to school, they'd have drills and duck and cover, and we'd have to get under these little wooden bed or desks. And I remember thinking, do you honestly think if an atomic bomb that we saw at the movie theater blows up, this wooden desk is going to help me? You know, it's just sort of like,
a lot of the times you just have to do something to kind of pretend that we're going to be safe. We'll all duck and cover. It's just sort of like a placebo effect. Oh, okay, we got a plan.
yeah, it's an air raid drill. Okay.
Yeah, but it's also like more seriously now when we got these gun drills in school where kids have to like, okay, it's time for us to go hide in the closet. We're doing a gun test here, and then real life comes around. It's incredibly sad, and I'm sorry for any the Trump supporters who heard my rant and said, "That's it, I'm out of here." But you get to a point where you just can't shut up about it because it's just amazing. I watched the video the other day of this woman who was arrested on the street by these plainclothes guys, and I guess one gal was there as well. But they just come up to her on the street and handcuff her and haul her away.
I saw that.
I was in tears watching that. Thinking, oh my God! I mean, this is not America. You don't do that. You don't.
No.
You don't ship people to a distant country where they're going to be paid to house all of our gang members when we don't even know who was sent there. There's one guy who apparently is a makeup artist who is considered a gang member, and they were roughing him up in this prison, and he was just in tears over this, and all of his coworkers here were going, this is not a gang member. He's a lovely guy, and he's a professional that we work with in the film industry, and
right.
And he's lost somewhere in the system where the government is just saying, sorry, can't bring him back. It's like this is not America.
No. And it's okay with me if people want to leave. If they're offended by it, that's okay. I mean, it isn't our intention to offend people. But we have a right to stand up for what we feel. That's it.
Yeah, and I know, especially, if I want to run for office again, you don't want to piss off people who are Republicans. And I would hope by that time that enough Republicans will have come to their senses to see how much damage is being done right now. I mean, you looked at one of these other women who was coming back with her husband from overseas on their honeymoon, and she was seized at the airport and taken away, and he didn't know where she was. And he was saying, well, I still don't regret my vote for Trump. They just took your wife away and disappeared her, and you're still uncertain whether that was a good vote or not.
Wow. Scary. Wow. Really scary.
Mm.
Scary times. And I feel bad for people like my son who they're inheriting all of this. You know what I mean? So even people younger, where it's just sort of like, this isn't, at least he knows it isn't America. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the younger kids, I don't know what they're going to grow up knowing.
Yeah. And things can always be reversed, but we've never seen anything like this before, where the entire Department of Education is disappearing. You have to reassemble.
By someone who wasn't elected.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is more than just rolling back some things that changed. This is a wholesale slaughter of a lot of our systems of government, and it's just amazing.
Right. All right, so now let me check a few more things. Good night. June says good night, and Poof 11 says good night. Rib Guy says, for being brilliant, he is an idiot. Okay, I would think he's talking about Elon.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think of Elon as brilliant, but I guess maybe.
Well, he didn't create any of this stuff. He didn't create Tesla. He didn't create
No.
he bought these companies, and he's led them.
Yeah.
And I have nothing against him until he decided that he's going to spend $1 billion buying Twitter and turning it into a right-wing swamp, and then and making sure that his candidate got elected so he could tear the country apart and make more money for himself. Okay. Right. I don't think that's good.
Yeah, no. All right. Poof 911 says, drove behind a Tesla without bumper sticker, with a bumper sticker.
Behind. I read that earlier.
Oh, we bought our Tesla before we found out Elon was crazy. Oh yeah, you're right. You did read that. Did you read the question that JB808 said?
Maybe I don't
Mark,
know.
Do you have a clipped up video of the grandma that called the 1990 radio show detailing the horrific abuses her grandchildren endured in the cult? I don't.
I don't, but it's a good idea to turn that into a short. Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion, JB808. And Poof 911 says, Mark, sorry, you lost. Oh, sorry. I think she means you lost the
election.
Yeah, I think so. It says you lost UF. So you're F.
I could have lost my marbles. Could be anything.
I know. You kept it together. Mark, did you get my Cash App Friday? Rib Guy asked.
Yes. Thank you very much. Actually, Aaron mentioned it to me yesterday. I think that apparently you told him that you were sending me some cash, and I did get that, and I sent. There's no way to really send a message.
I know. Cash App is. That's why I try to get people to do PayPal, because PayPal you can thank them. But Cash App.
The most I could do was like push the little heart button to say, "Okay, I got it," and thank you so much. But I really appreciate that. That helps enormously.
Good.
In fact, there's a bill that's going to hit tomorrow that's going toward. So
good.
At least that won't bounce.
Well, thank you, Rib Guy. Thank you very much. Psychator, how can we support the decision at the council meeting in a productive way?
Well, here's the deal. It's great that people come out and speak about it. It's going to pass. I don't think no matter how many of us get up and talk at the meeting on Thursday night and say, please don't do this. They're going to do it. They've got the votes for it. And it is frustrating. There can be times when if you're on the council and you do hear some arguments that make sense to you, that you might change your mind. I mean, I've certainly done that when I was on the council, but for the most part, I think people have their position, locked in when you go into the meeting to do the vote. Again, it's not always. There are times when somebody will give you a piece of information, you go, okay, well, I was concerned about that, but I can see how it was an unnecessary concern.
Right.
In this case, I don't think you're going to convince these three people who are on the council now to change their vote on selling the street. I think they're just going to look at it as, what do we need that street for? We can get $1.3 million for it, and hopefully that will convince Miscavige to build that movie theater and do all the stuff that he promises. And of course, he won't.
Right.
He could have done that at any time for any reason since 2017 or before, but especially when he bought all the properties and he already had the plan laid out. He presented this exact same plan to the council back in 2017, and they very wisely said, no, we don't want you to take over the downtown and make all the buildings pretty and recruit business into them, because people will look at it as Scientology's downtown and they still won't come.
Right.
He said that's when that's when he went radio silent with the city and bought up all the property secretly. And he just said, I'll wait till the next council. And then the next council, he got me. So he waited another 4 years for the next council, and he got the council that he wanted. So the council is giving him what he wants. And there you go. Some things you can't stop.
Well, there's another election coming up, right?
There is. If elections are allowed.
Oh, God, don't say that.
They're working hard to control the election. But,
I know.
Apparently, there is such a wave of angry people, like veterans who have lost their jobs, and there are so many angry people going to these town halls now. And apparently, in one of the states, I don't know if it was like Massachusetts or something, no, it was not them, but some state that Trump had won by like 30 points, and the Democrats won in that election that was just held. And the Florida vote is kind of leaning a little Democratic. So it's possible that there will be a big swing back, and that would help me get back on the council. Because certainly one of the things that acted against me in 24 was it was a Republican wave for Trump everywhere. Right. And in Florida, Biden wasn't even on the ticket during the primary, which is when people voted for the council. Wow. Trump was on the ballot, but Biden just said, we're not gonna be on the ballot because we know Biden's going to be the candidate. So Democrats had no reason to really come out, and Republicans spent a fortune to get a Republican swamp, and they got it. So things are different next time if I run again and it's everyone angry at Republicans and a lot of Democrats come out. That could help me.
Yeah. Well, Poof 911 said, Mark, sorry you lost the council seat. Are you finding out it was a mixed blessing? Hope you're finding more. You're finding more me to do, I think.
Yeah. I wouldn't call it a mixed blessing. I miss it. You
were good on it, Mark. You really were.
Yeah. I don't know that I was the best. There are people who.
I didn't say you were the best, but you were really good. You got things done that a lot of them didn't get done. I've been around this since 79, and you got a lot of stuff done that was not getting done.
And there's more things that I really wanted to have a hand in, like we had approved a community redevelopment a act for North Greenwood to revitalize that. I really wish I was around now to help.
Where is North Greenwood?
North Greenwood is the African American community that's a few blocks away from here, actually. I'm on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. If I drive another 10 blocks north, that's North Greenwood. And there are a lot of great people there that showed me a lot of support in the last election. In fact, the reason that I got a tape of these guys who stole all my yard signs, this is because a great woman in North Greenwood had her Ring camera capture them she had 2 of my signs in her yard.
Good.
And she was nice enough to give me that I could give to the police. And we were able to track down those thieves.
Good. Good. All right. Well, I hope you run again. All right. So more time to do. Sophie says, Mark, you need to turn. Now, I don't know what this is. You need to turn off your mobile data, then turn it on only for the app you want. Do you know what that means?
Yes, yeah, I
What?
do. Well, what I tend to do now, and I made sure that there's no more backups on the phone. Um, but like I need the mobile data for the GPS. Um, because I discovered when my data ran out that day that suddenly I couldn't get any Uber uh,
Oh
rides.
yeah.
It stopped coming to me. I would
Right.
press OK, accept it, and it just wouldn't work.
Yeah. It was like nope.
So there are things I need it for, and I try to make sure that only happened once where everything was eaten up in an hour.
Okay. Good.
Um, but I have been running out because I had to, they charge 3 months at a time. And when I was on the council, I could just say, here's $300 for the year. I've got a really good plan that gives me all the data I need. Now that
Right.
I'm not on the council and I'm Social Security and trying to get by, um, I had to go down to the shortest plan, which is a 3-month plan. And that has very little data on it. So the thing is, I need to make some more money. That's it. And I'm trying to build up the channel. Not being on the council gives me time to start
You're doing
doing
a
some
good
more of
job.
this,
You are.
learning more how to do all this, and learning how to use AI and all that kind of
Right.
stuff. So that's very exciting.
Yeah. I
Um,
love the AI stuff. It's really
it
good.
would be nice. It would be nice to mix the two. I'd love to be able to continue to be on the council and be able to continue doing what I do here. Make it
Yes.
easier. Like, right, if I were on the council now, I'd have a paycheck where I could buy the stuff that I want to buy. Like, I
Yeah.
just put on my wish list today. They've got this new version of a gimbal that I have. Gimbal, you can put your phone on there and it keeps the camera steady. So when you see all these people out on the street doing their live streams, that's usually what they're using. I have the Osmo 6, and the Osmo 7 that's out now does so much more. So I'd really love to move up because it's got it has built-in audio that you can buy, like one mic that goes straight to your camera if you've got this gimbal. It's got a light and all sorts of other things to it
But the
that
Osmo 7 is the name of the gimbal one you want?
yeah, it's a DJI Osmo OSMO 7P, I guess. And the one I put on my wish list is the one that has the gimbal plus one microphone, because a mic is incredibly important when you're running around with a
I've
phone.
always said you've always been good with that. Yeah. Because I remember other people would use their cell phones and you couldn't really hear the person talking.
Mm-hmm.
But you'd always mic us up.
Yeah. And if I had a council paycheck right now, I'd be buying one of those, and I'd be buying a new Mac Mini with more memory so that I can continue to upscale things while working on. I could be working on a couple of different computers. Well, now I'm on 2. I could be on 3 and getting much more captured and upscaled. So.
Well, both
So in that regards, I miss having a paycheck, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I do. We both need gimbals. I want to get one myself.
There you go.
They look cool. All right. So now Sophie says you and I are the only ones that aren't. Oh, wait. Poof 911 says, Sophie, you and I are the only ones that aren't, I think, connected 24/7. I don't know. I'm not connected 24/7. Oop, there went my light. Did you see it?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a light. All right. It was only me. I would stay in the forest, far, far away. No cell, no TV, internet, the life. For now, I go camping. That's from Alligators.
Hmm.
All right.
Let
Okay.
me answer this thing I see from T, Perth Scientology Audit. Mark, let's see. Can you recommend a software to remove crackling from an interview, please? Yeah. What I use is it's a Adobe. Geez, it's an Adobe subscription service. That I think it's Adobe Podcast. So it allows you to create podcasts easily. But the one thing that I use that for is uploading the audio that I have that's really crappy and cleaning up the audio with that quickly, and it does a really good job. So if you got a tape with a lot of crackling, a lot of noise in it, it will get rid of all of that.
Yeah, it's called Adobe. What's it called?
Let me open up the link here, and I will tell you exactly what it is. I've got, let's see, over here. Oops, no.
And while you're looking, Alligator says, question, in 88, close to Orlando, is there still an org? I don't know what 88. I don't know what that question means. We're in 2025.
Let me come back here and see. Where?
Question in 88 apostrophe. Close to Orlando, is there still an org? Maybe she's just asking, close to Orlando, is there still an org?
Boy, it probably is. I don't know though. It seems like there should be one in Orlando. I know.
Oh, go on.
I saw a month or so ago, Tony was showing something about they're trying to lure people to Flag, I think, by saying, hey, we're close to Orlando. You can go to Disney World. You can do this. And, come and visit Flag and spend all your money here. And then forget all about Disney World. So the site I was talking about is podcast.adobe.com. And that's $10 a month to subscribe to this. And I figure what I'm doing with my audio as I go along, it's probably worth the $10 a month. Enhanced speech. Once you're on AdobePodcast.com, enhanced speech will do that for you.
That's another one.
There are other things you can do as well. No, that enhanced speech is a tool on Adobe podcast.adobe.com.
Okay. Enhanced speech. All right. Good. Thank you, Mark. Okay. And then JB808 says, it must be Madonna's Truth or Dare. Yep, that was it. Because it came out around the same time as Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. That was it. Truth or Dare.
Yep.
It was a good movie.
That's way back. I saw that comment quite some time ago.
It was way back. I was way in the cult at the time. It must be. Okay, that's it. All right. Thank you, JB808. That helped. Because I would have never remembered it. Truth or Dare. I got to write that down just so I remember it for the future. Truth or Dare. This was the first time I remembered Madonna even. Madonna. Okay. That was it. And Sophie said, question mark, apart from Tori, is there other people you know as an ex-Scientologist that you also met as Scientologists? Well, Dan, but knowing that you're a friend, I don't think. Arnie.
I don't know that I didn't know Arnie when he was in. They're asking if there's somebody in like you that I knew.
Oh, that we were in.
And
Yeah,
then they
it's
came out.
just me.
There are other people who I interacted with who have left Scientology and quietly told me, listen, I'm out, but my family doesn't know, my friends don't know, so I don't want to go public with it. But thank you for doing what you've been doing. I used to confront you. Now you were right. So there have been people like that over the years. And
But I think I was the only person that they sent out to handle the critics. I mean, there really wasn't, they really didn't have a whole lot of people.
Well, I don't know. There are a few other people. There are a few other people who were sent
Who
out.
else?
I can't say because it might pinpoint to who might have contacted me.
Oh.
And then there are people tangentially that I've heard from that I didn't really meet, like Mary DeMoss's former husband contacted me and said, "Oh, you want some stories about Mary?" I said, "Nah, it's okay. I mean, I'm not there to dig up dirt, but he was really nice, and it was nice to hear from him." So there are folks I've run across. I mean, it's interesting just to read, like Jenna in her book was talking about when the LMT was out protesting on the streets of Cleveland, Clearwater rather, and she only had a half an hour to spend with her boyfriend during dinner time, and she was trapped on one side, he was on the other, and they were, keeping them in the buildings because somebody had a picket sign outside.
Right.
And she was talking about, she had mentioned me, I think, in the book specifically, and talked about, well, why are we so frightened of these people? I mean, shouldn't we be able to handle this? I just want to go across the street. And yet they're preventing me from doing that. So you never know who you're affecting.
Very true. Very, very true. Thank you.
And right. Even I got to say, well, look at the big two, Marty Rathbun and Mike Rinder. Certainly, I had plenty of encounters with them when they were in Scientology, and then they both sat down to do interviews with me afterwards. And I helped when Marty was just out and was trying to put his thoughts online. I helped him create a blog. So he could make posts there. And I just did that out of the blue, saying, here, I'd like to read what you're saying. So I formatted this for you, and WordPress is a real simple thing to use. So I helped him, I had training wheels. I was the training wheels for him for like a month or so before, he fully took over. And even he, in my interview, said that seeing the message that Bob and Stacy were putting out on the streets of Clearwater, it's safe to look, it's safe to talk. That even stuck in his mind.
Sure.
Yep. So you never know who you're going to reach.
You never know. Yeah, you never know. JB808 says he was introduced to Catherine O'Hara as the man from Home Alone, but I later appreciated her roles in all those mockumentary movies.
Yeah, I read that one earlier as well. She did a lot of movies with Christopher Guest, and probably will still do more. But Christopher Guest, his first one was This Is Spinal Tap. She's not in that. But the first one that he wrote and directed himself was Waiting for Guffman. And that he's playing a kind of flamboyant high school drama teacher who wants to mount a play, as I remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. It could have been just a community theater. I think it's a community theater production. And it's all improvised. All his films were completely improvised from an outline that he put together. So he had all these great improv artists like Catherine O'Hara and Eugene Levy, who were in, I think, all of his films. And then a whole slew of people who were really good at this.
That's good.
And he had several really, really terrific movies that he put out with that core group of people, including Best in Show, which was set in a dog show. and another one set in the movie system. I can't remember the name of that. Oh, and God, why can't I think of his name now?
Describe it.
He's a guy who does a lot of the voices on The Simpsons. He like plays Mr. Burns and
Right.
a whole slew of characters.
Right.
And he's been around for ages. He was on Saturday Night Live a couple of times.
Yeah. I think he's still on, right?
No. He was on the last year of the first cast, like the first cast with Bill Murray and all those people. They were on for 5 years. He was on the last year of that one and got fired then. And then he came back when a new producer came in and said, we need names, we need stars. So that guy hired Martin Short. I was hoping just by pointing at a finger, I'd instantly remember his name. But he also has done for decades a comedy show once a week called The Show. And now I remember because it's The Show with Harry Shearer. Harry Shearer is a really brilliant writer, comedian, impressionist, and he would do for free this hour-long comedy show on the LA public radio station that would be broadcast throughout the country. And so he was a core member of these films too.
That's good.
Yeah. Incredibly talented fella who was apparently, a little difficult to work with because he got fired twice from Saturday Night Live. But what the heck?
Yeah.
I mean, he has his standards, and I agree with him. He has, his idea of what is funny, and I trust his ideas. And sometimes executives don't quite understand.
No. No.
Why can't you just put on a funny hat and a fake nose and go waka waka?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Different thing. All right. So Stephen says, hey, Tori, the other day I was watching the NFL Network. They have something on there called OT7 football. I have no idea. None.
Me neither. I can talk about comedy and musicals. I can't talk about sports. I know nothing about sports.
Well, I grew up with my dad playing for the Chicago Cardinals.
I know.
So
that's the one thing I know.
I grew up around sports a bunch. I'm a good basketball player too.
Really?
I am. Baseball, basketball, all kinds of sports. My dad was like, I'm going to teach you every sport except football. And he told all the kids on the block that. And until you're good, you can't say you don't want to do it. Once you're good at it and you can do it, then you can tell me, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And that's okay. Or you can keep doing it. Because his view was nobody likes sports if you can't do it. Right? So kids to this day, I mean, they're older men now, but they'll come up to me and say, I wish I could have thanked your dad. He taught me, whatever. And my mom, the same kind of thing. I read it on the internet last Halloween. These kids were like, your mother used to scare us to death. I thought my mom would love to read that. She really would. She'd be so happy that her witch outfit, she had this whole routine that she did every Halloween.
Yeah. So I was mentioning this on a stream, I think last night. Somebody asked me, "Hey, Mark, have you filled out your brackets yet?" And I said, "No, I've never seen a basketball game brackets. The sports. Yeah, I guess people line up who's going to win the games every week and who's going to make it to the end, and I have no idea who any of these teams are." No. And I said in the stream, I've never even seen a basketball game. And then I realized, well, that was wrong. I did see when I was in high school, the Harlem Globetrotters came to play the high school team, and I did go to that.
That's cool. That's cool.
There you go.
There you go. And I saw the Rockettes.
How about that?
That was good. That was equal to the Harlem Globetrotters for
Yeah.
me. Okay, so let's see. Rib Guy says they started and held the community together that ultimately shut down the cult.
I think we're looking at comments from a half an hour or more ago, so I'm not really sure
Sorry.
what
I
these
don't
are
know. Okay,
related to.
sorry. I'm not all right, so I'll go all the way to the end.
Well, you don't have to skip over. I just don't.
Mark, you are a saint. Thank you for your kindness.
Well,
There
that
you
is
go.
the end.
So
What do you
you
know
are
about that?
Saint Mark. So I
Yeah,
take it
and
back.
Jane says Martin Short was a no name from Canada originally. He was on SCTV. Um, Martin Short and all of those people who were on SCTV were no names. Who got together in Toronto? They did a very legendary production of Godspell. Almost all of the people who were the great improv artists from Second City before that were working on Godspelling, and it included some folks who were on Saturday Night Live at the beginning, like Gilda Radner was part of that group,
Oh yeah,
and
right.
but all those folks from SCTV got famous from doing SCTV as a little
Sure.
Canadian program that was then syndicated here in the States. And then NBC bought it and turned it into a 90-minute show, SCT Network 90.
Yeah.
And Martin Short came onto the show when that had happened. And he was instantly brilliant. So all of those people who were on SCTV, I still think they're all magnificent. There you go. Just another rant.
No, they're amazing. I agree. And Jane says Martin Short, she agrees with you, was a no name from Canada originally. And she also said your dad was awesome, Tori. Thank you.
Woo-hoo.
And Rib Guy said, Mark, you are a saint. Okay, we already said that. Now you're a saint. Aaron G, Mark, don't you think that if Doge would just tax Scientology, there is a huge tax savings? Well, if they just taxed a lot of things, that there would be a huge tax savings.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. And
No.
I don't know if it's you who brought this up before, but somebody was saying if we could just get Elon to convince Trump to tax Scientology, well, that's never going to happen because Trump is surrounded by Scientologists. No, the person. No, not you. No, the person who made this comment. Somebody else. I don't know if it's the same person or not, but somebody said to me, "Oh, Mark, here's how we can bring Scientology down. You just have Elon, take that on."
There you go.
Some of Trump's biggest supporters are Scientologists, and the attorney who defended him in the years when he was out of office, one of his main attorneys is a high-level Scientologist in a DC firm that's primarily Scientologists. So he's surrounded by people who are safe pointing.
Yeah, she's in the White House now. She was a journalist years ago. Now she's an OTA.
So there's he has plenty of reasons, Trump, not to take on Scientology, and he didn't in the 4 years he was in office before. So I have no reason to believe he will now, especially when he's got tons of money coming in from these wealthy Scientologists. Right. It's a pipe dream.
All right, Aaron, won't happen with Bondi in place. Rib Guy says.
Yeah, Bondi. Pam Bondi is she the Attorney General now? She is in Scientology's pocket when she was here in Florida. So it's not going to happen.
Right.
Look at what could help. Taxing Scientology, not going to happen. Destroying entire departments of in the country, yeah, that's happening. You want to invade Greenland? Sure, that'll happen. But taxing Scientology, no.
Well, removing their tax exemption, I do think eventually it's
yeah,
down the road.
Absolutely. But Elon's not going to do it.
No.
Trump's not going to do it.
No.
You need somebody in Congress, in a functioning Congress, who will say, that's a good idea. Let's hold some hearings on it.
Yeah. Let's find out.
It's almost impossible to get somebody to do that at any time, but everything's so dysfunctional now that nothing's getting done.
I know. It's scary. It really is. Anyway. It's a weird time. Tax the billionaires that make their money on us. That's alligators. And Kennedy is also in the fold now, has connected to CCHR. Oh, ouch. Oh, kill me. Stab me with a knife. That's horrible. That is the worst thing.
Yeah, Kennedy's involved with those folks from the Scientology law firm, all those folks surrounding Trump. So, and thank God we're going to get rid of all those kids who have the measles. We just need to wipe them out. Just let nature take its course, because we wouldn't want to give them a vaccine, for God's sakes. Who knows what would happen if we gave them a vaccine?
God forbid.
Yeah.
I think that's honestly how they feel about most of us from my generation. It's like, just get rid of them, let them die, and then we'll have all that money.
Right? Yep. It's complete insanity. Did you see the news stories about how these kids, the parents in Texas, have been taking Kennedy's advice and saying high doses of vitamin A is what you need. This is the best way.
Sounds like Scientology.
And so these kids now are coming in with liver damage because the parents are giving them these ultra high doses instead of getting a vaccine. So it's just insanity.
You're right. You are right. All right.
Yeah, so, I'm an amazing person. I'm right about everything.
Natural treasure and a saint now. Feral Cheryl, hi.
Hey,
For
Feral
my
Cheryl.
prescription, Kathy Rinder wants out and is kept at the HQ of Scientology, working at RTC. How about going there, call 911, and film as she gets out, and then make citizens arrest, put David Miscavige in jail?
It's a wonderful plot for a movie.
Yeah.
Kathy Rinder may want out, but can she get out of HQ at RTC, or will she be watched
or locked up?
Yeah. So it's unlikely that somebody's going to be able to be there at the moment she tries to flee and be filming that and getting. It's a great idea. I'd like to see it happen. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Kathy Rinder is reaching out to people.
Yeah, journalists used to call me and say, we want to film someone leaving Scientology. And I'd say, good luck. It's like, I think it's a great idea, but Scientologists have built in their head, part of their mind control is anti-filming, right? So they're already against anyone filming them. So you're not going to get someone leaving Scientology where they're already way against that, and then having someone film them. They're not going to walk out and go, well, let me tell you my story. It's like, no.
Yeah. And at the same time that Leah Remini was doing Scientology in the aftermath, Jamie DeWolf was hosting another show that was being filmed
Right.
that was about disconnection and reuniting disconnected families. And I was interviewed for one of the episodes here in
Me too.
Clearwater.
Yeah, me too.
And and I think you probably told them the same thing that I did, that it's never going to happen. You're not going to be able to get somebody on camera
It's leaving.
reuniting. Yeah. I did, suggest you getting a burner phone, and if you know where the mom's going to or the kid's going to be or whatever, I forget which direction it was. But if you can get a phone into their hand with your cell phone number on it, maybe they could, if they secretly have that, maybe they might want to call and talk about this. But you're never going to get anybody who says, "Oh, this is a good idea. I'm going to leave now, and you can videotape me as I run out the door and hop into a cab." Certainly been rescues like that. I mean, Lawrence Woodcraft talked about how he and Zoe, he and Astra arranged to grab Zoe in the middle of the night.
His other daughter.
Yeah, she was still living at Hacienda Gardens, right. And she had to pack just a few things and pretend to be casually walking out as his car was nearby, and then he sped up and she hopped in and they sped away. So do things like that happen? Yeah. But do they happen on camera? Probably not. No. It'd be great, though. It'd be great.
Yeah. Yep. Remember CBS when they were going to do a whole thing? This was before Leah. They were going to do a whole thing interviewing a lot of us ex-Scientologists. And I remember telling the lady doing it, I said, look, A, you've got to make sure you talk legal and make sure they're going to be okay with it. And B, you've got to handle it with the editors, because the editor, it comes down to editing, and they can change everything all the time. And she interviewed a ton of people for a couple of years, but it never came out. I knew it wasn't. It's just, it's the way it is. All right, so now let's see. Feral Cheryl says, no, we go and ask the officer to get her out. Is Feral, she's in Clearwater with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I would have the chief of police do welfare checks during COVID. I'd tell him, listen, they got all these people from the Sea Org crammed together in buses without masks. They're not taking this seriously. You've got 12 people or whatever living in an apartment at Hacienda Gardens. You got to go and check these places out and just make sure that everyone's safe. And they give them a 3-day notice. They say, oh, we want to come and look. Okay. Wednesday would be good. So they have time to, put everything in order, get everything shipshape before the police can come in.
Right.
It'd be great if you could just say, got to do a spot check right now. Go. Can you convince the police to do that? No, they're going to go, well, like every other organization, we have to treat them with respect.
Okay, so now here, listen to this. This is Kelly BC, and she said, Tori Magoo 44, I don't think that is our Feral Cheryl.
So there's another Feral Cheryl?
Well, it could be a phony one. It's because the name is Feral Cheryl, illegal-UK citizen. So that's not the same one.
All right.
So Feral Cheryl, illegal UK citizen, let us know if you're in Clearwater or not. Okay, here she is. It will be a 911 call and the police has to show up. Okay.
Okay, but I mean, what's the 911 call say? We know a woman is being held
Mm-hmm.
in this building. And then when they show up and the police come with guns drawn, saying, "Well, you know, you're holding somebody," and they go, "Okay, bring her out." And she comes to the door and says, "No, what this is nonsense. I want to be here." Because that's what happens. I mean, if the FBI were to raid the hole at Gold,
Yeah.
and all these executives have been sleeping on the floor for a couple of years in this double wide trailer with bars on the windows, the FBI broke in the doors and said, "We're here to save you." They go, "We want to be here. This is our church." That's the problem. It's the prison of the mind, and not the fact that,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, Kelly, thank you for letting us know that. And Sophie said it's a troll. It's a brand new account. So
Ah,
it's not Feral Cheryl.
oh well.
Flunk. Flunk, Osa. You flunked again. Our moderators and our people are on it. That's the thing about us.
Who can you trust nowadays?
I used to love the anonymous sign they had that said, "Fuck, the internet is here." And it had all the guys with the picket signs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. I mean, it has really been their downfall.
Yeah.
Just stuff like this. You know, it's just.
We've been going for 2.5 hours already.
We have? No, two and a half. 2.5.
Yep, 2:36 and 2.
So what do you want to say as a final thing, Mark Bunker?
Good night. No, I don't know that I have anything more to say to wrap it up, other than thanks for having me on, Magooski.
Well, thank you for coming, and thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing everything, because you are a national treasure, and we're lucky to have you on here. So thank you to everyone who was here and came and contributed to this, because it was a fun night.
It was.
So I think nobody expects a Spanish Inquisition, said Tim Greenglass.
I see Trisha Kelly just popped in and said, "I just tuned in and it's over."
I know. Sorry about that.
Good news.
Mark and Tori. You
can
are
roll
welcome.
it back and watch. You can watch from the beginning.
You can watch from the beginning, and you can make comments, and I'll watch it tomorrow, and I'll read them. I do.
There you go. There you go.
There you go. And hopefully you will come this way, Mark, soon, so we can have a big protest.
Would be fun.
I know. We'll have to fly you out here. We have to figure out a way to get you out here.
All right.
Pay some bills. Get you the gimbal and a ticket to come out here.
All right.
There you go.
Well, sounds fun. As a matter of fact, I just captured all the video from our London trip and our trip to DC.
Wow.
Back in 2008. So I'm trying to edit that together for stream this week.
Don't edit out all the girls signing their bras.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I have never seen so many women fascinated.
It was one.
No, it wasn't
who
one.
was put up with it. Oh,
no.
I counted the boobs. It was one boob out of all those that were surrounding me. Oh, I'm sure, granted, every woman wanted me to sign their boob. I'm sure that's the case. Only one did, though.
I know, but the bras, all of them did. You signed a lot of them. I watched you. I probably have it on video. I have to get my old video.
Okay, you find that, because I have no memory of that. And it seems to me that I would remember that.
You cornball.
But the other thing I found from when we went out to East Grinstead, I remember when we got that guy on the motorcycle who was hiding in the bushes taking pictures of us. And we confronted him as he hopped on his bike and sped away.
Yeah.
And you were trying to tell him how rotten Scientology was, how they treat people. And he said, "At least I'm not wearing a fucking mask." and sped away. So, well, she's not wearing a mask.
That's right. That's why I did.
But there was another guy there though, and I can't quite remember the whole backstory. So I'm going to have to see if I can find a post on alt religion Scientology. There was another guy who was in a telephone booth with, it was all windows on all sides, and there was a second phone stall right next to him. So I got in there and I was listening to him report back about us to the org, and
what did he say?
I don't remember now. I mean, I hadn't thought about it in a long time.
But you have
I
it
did
on camera?
I have our encounter on camera after we got out of the booth and we kind of, confronted him about it. But I know there was more to the backstory, and I would have made a post about it online. So I'm going to have to see if I can find that post somewhere on Alt Religion Scientology. The archive is still out there.
Right.
But it's not easy to find anything on
and
it.
the Wayback Machine. That you can find Alt Religion Scientology with the Wayback Machine.
Can you?
Mm-hmm. I have. Miss Magoo 55. That was my nickname.
All right. Well, again, it's been swell.
It's been swell. Till next time, Mr. National Treasure.
Bye, Magooski.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Yes, bye.
Good night.